When we were using the GitHub client earlier on in this series, one of the things that we did was to fork a repository, specifically the Polymer project, and then we committed changes to our local version of that repository, which we were then able to share on GitHub ourselves. Forking isn't actually a feature of Git, it's a specific implementation detail which has been implemented by GitHub. And all it does is clone a repository from one user's account to another, and it does that server-side. Because it's not a Git implementation detail, it's GitHub specific, we can't actually fork projects from the command line, but we can of course clone them, and then push the files back up to the GitHub server, which mimics the same actions. So I've gone ahead and removed all of the files that we've been using in previous videos so that we have a fresh repository. And I've initialized a new repository in the same folder. The first thing that we need to do, of course, is to add our new repository. I've already done this on the server side. And so to do that on the local side, all we need to do is type git remote add origin and then the path to our new repository. Which is located here. If we look at this repository, we can see that it's just an empty repository. There's no files in it at all at the moment. But that will soon change. So now that we've added our remote repository, we can just check that that's worked correctly. And as you can see, it has. So the next thing that we're going to do is to clone the actual official Polymer project. All we need to do that is type git clone and then the path to the repository that we want to clone. And as you can see, that's downloading all of the files. If we took the same action directly from GitHub and clicked the clone button, this would just happen on the server side, the exact same functions. So now that that's downloaded, we can go ahead and push that to our local repository. And instead of specifying just the master, we're going to add the option for all, which is --all. And that should actually come after origin in the same place as the actual branch would normally appear. So now that we've cloned that repository, we just need to add all of the files and then add them onto our repository. So the first thing that we need to do is to add them, which we do by git add asterisk. And if we look at git status now, we can see that all of the files are added. So now that we've added all of the files, we can go ahead and make a commit, which is necessary in order for us to then push up to the GitHub server. So we're just going to type git commit -a--m, and our message will be initial Polymer clone. And when we were adding the files, we should have actually added a parameter, which was git add -a to add everything. And so if we commit again, we can see that nothing's ready to commit. If we look at git status, everything's ready. And so we can go ahead and push this up to the server. So we do that by typing git push origin, and we'll just push the master branch for now. And as we can see, that's been uploaded successfully. So although the actual process of cloning and then pushing the repository up to the GitHub server is more long-winded than forking, it's a necessary evil, because we can't actually fork from the command line. What we can do, however, is make changes and then create a pull request, which is possible to do from the command line itself. So let's create a readme file. And we'll add some text in here. And then, as usual, we'll go ahead and actually add that into our Git repository. If we look at the Git status now, we can see that we have a new readme file added. And so we can go ahead and create a new commit. So git commit. And we create the readme file. So as I mentioned at the start of this video, although we don't have access to actually fork repositories directly from the command line, we can do a very good job of replicating the functionality. It's just a little more in depth. Because it's not likely that you're going to be forking projects on a very regular basis, this isn't a huge problem. And if you're working with package managers as well, for example, for your projects, they take care of the vast majority of this work for you. In the next video, we're going to look at how we can build on the basic functionality provided by Git, and go ahead and actually tag some releases so that they can be identified as being release candidates or independent versions. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that.